Hi, this is Andrew, and I'm going to show a new personal best that I've achieved in terms of time on the DOS game Supremacy, also known in some markets as Overlord, that I've been playing for 30 some years on and off. This is the third playthrough of the game I've posted. The amount of work that went into this recently, people throw around the word insane, but honestly, I should be locked up. I've torn the game apart. I had it disassembled earlier this year, but yeah, it is raw 8086 assembler. It takes a lot to pull it out of it. My original goal in analysing, reverse engineering the game was to be able to see and modify the scheduled events that are in the game. But in the last week, I've gone a lot further. I've analysed the combat model. I've analysed the enemy AI and pretty much everything else. I think I have enough of a detailed description of the game at this point to functionally re-implement it perfectly. And in one or two small aspects, I've written simulation code. I can simulate the course of a battle and exactly match what happens in a game from the beginning of a battle. I can simulate the course of a planet and see the population change and the production of resources and all of that. So that there's pretty much nothing left that's actually a mystery. I haven't disassembled all the user interface code, and I don't know how the graphics work particularly, but that's all. So with all this extra knowledge, I thought I'd easily be able to beat my time that I'd achieved before. And rather to my shock, I found that I didn't, not for 7, 8, 10 playthroughs until this one. So here we go again, starting against Rorn. Another change I've made is that I've reverted to the unmodified binary of the game that I got off the original floppy disk. Previous runs I was using a hacked copy protection that I'd put in back in the 90s as a young hacker. But now I've, for the look of the thing, reverted to the unmodified code, and I've extracted the words. I should have the manual somewhere. I haven't been able to find it, but I extracted the copy protection questions and answers from the code. So here we go, logging on. Follow the usual pattern to start with. Tax rate goes to 0 to get rapid population growth. I start buying 6 solar satellites and launching them to be producing energy while things are going on. That's the first 3. If you look at the amount of minerals there, the minerals, energy and food that I start with on this run is very high. They are actually random but correlated together perfectly. So if the minerals is high, the food is high, the energy is high, they're in lockstep. So this, 4,250 minerals, that's a lot. So normally at this point I would be very much focusing on putting down mining stations and generating more minerals. But given how many I have to start with, I've put 1 mining station down, but I've gone straight into exploring new planets. One of the things that was actually reasonably clear but hadn't crystallized in my head until I started drawing spreadsheets earlier, you absolutely have to have volcanic planets So I'd taken some flow through the game where if you don't get a volcanic planet early on, you build 4, 5, 6 mining stations early, and that is enough that you can get a reasonably quick development. You can, with those, you can then, just with the delay of having built the mining stations, you can get on with building farming stations, build up a population, and get on with the game. But there's no way you can launch the attacks on enemy base in the sort of time scale that I'm aiming to do, because you can't produce that amount of fuel. To produce the amount of fuel, you need 5, 6 mining stations on volcanic planets. Mining station on a volcanic planet produces 3.5 times as much fuel as one on any other planet. So to match it without volcanic planets, you would need 15, 16 mining stations, and there aren't enough ship slots. That wouldn't leave you enough space to have farming stations to feed your population and battleships to attack the enemy. So I'm counting on, I'm going to keep looking for volcanic planets until I get some. And I'm not going to follow a contingency of, well, what if I don't find one and I need to produce all the minerals? That's just not going to work. So I've got 2 mining stations down. I've got enough minerals already to build 5.5 at this point, 5.5 farming stations, certainly 5, which is potentially 4 for Starbase and 1 for the next planet or something like that. So that's a good start. So I've got taxes coming in now, population growth is in, following roughly the same plan I always did with the population. Aim for 9,000 early on. Allow your population to grow to 9,000, living off the food you start with, until you get the opportunity to build out the farming stations to feed them. So first farming station just about to go down. I did the numbers as well. If you saw my previous video, I said that an urban planet can produce more tax revenue than a jungle planet. Turns out, if you do the numbers, that's strictly not true, except during the period when you have the hydroponic hybrid, where your farming stations produce a lot more food. So in those situations, you're able to max out the population on an urban planet and just get the tax bonus of the urban planet, which is 8-to-5 ratio of tax revenue. Outside of that period, even 6 farming stations on an urban planet are not able to support at equilibrium a population that will produce taxes more than a maxed out jungle planet with 3 or 4 farming stations. So, however, the period of the hydroponic plants, with the speed I'm aiming to win this game now, I'm looking to win by 2024. My previous record was fairly early 2025. Most of the period that I'm raising revenue is with that hydroponic food. So although on the plain numbers, jungle planets are better, for my purposes here, I think my original idea is actually correct, that an urban planet will produce more revenue. However, at the same time, it is more work to maintain, because you can't just max the population to 30,000 and forget about it. And you need more ships, so that takes up more of your ship slots, requires more minerals early on to build the farming stations. So you see so another change, I'm training troops a little bit later. Again, I've analysed the behaviour of the enemy, and I know that you cannot get attacked in the first 3 years. So there's no rush to get troops out defending your planets in 2011. You're not going to get attacked until the middle of 2013. So you can capitalize on that. Let your population grow rapidly when it's simply the growth rate of your population is the limiting factor, and not worry about getting troops into training. You just have to remember. So we're now midway through 2011. So it is time to have. I've got 4 units in training now. So I've got, because the resources were in lockstep and I started with quite a few, I've actually still got plenty fuel. Now if you look at what I'm doing, I'm looking at Planet 2, which is an urban planet. I think Planet 1 and Planet 2 are both urban planets. There's a reason why I chose to settle Planet 2 first, and I'll get to that, although actually in the event that turned out not to be necessary in this case. But yeah, so tax rate down to 0. I'm getting Planet 2 built up. Let's get minerals onto it, so energy onto it. So starting to produce food. I've determined that all these warnings that come from Rorn as you develop are completely meaningless. It doesn't affect his behavior one jot, whether you train troops in 2011 or 2012 or any of this stuff. Yeah, although I delayed training the first troops, you still need just as many further on, although not as many as I used to need, because the big advantage I've gained since studying the code is I have a much more precise idea of where I'm going to get attacked. So another thing, it really is about growing your population rapidly and raising a lot of money. So I'm doing something that I didn't usually bother doing. I took a bunch of civilians off Starbase to get my population growing on the first planet I've settled, which is this urban planet, Planet 2. So I've still got quite a good amount of minerals. I'm buying things as soon as the cash comes in. So Starbase is fairly stable. It's got its 3 farming stations. It can support 9,000 population. A bit short of a bit less than 9,000, so population is a bit high now. But I still need to train some troops. I'm still going to be crewing new. So I'm managing platform Planet 2. And there goes the second farming station for Planet 2. And with that, I'll be able to support a population of more than 5,000. And it turns out that's a magic number. There are, when you look at it, there are 4 methods Rorn uses to determine where to attack you. Oh, that's the everything got turned off warning. So part of the sort of game loop of every game day, is there's a routine that gets called that checks to see if Rorn is going to launch an attack on one of your planets. And the first thing is looking at is what his attack strength is on enemy base. It's notable the enemy does not actually have platoons or ships or use food or minerals or fuel or anything. It's another urban planet. In this game, the ships and the resources that you find on a planet, if you capture one from him, have no meaning to the game until you capture them. The only thing that actually has meaning in the game is the enemy attack strength on each planet. And on enemy base, this increases by 50 every day unless you currently have troops fighting on enemy base. So this stage of the game, enemy base attack strength is increasing by 50 a day. But the first check in the attack, the Rorn attack routine, is whether this attack strength on enemy base is more than a value, which from memory, I could check it, it's about 32,000. So if he doesn't have more than 32,000 attack strength on enemy base, he doesn't attack that day. And that's why you're safe for the first 3 years, because it takes that long from his starting value, which is not random, to build up to the point where he can start attacking. So I'm starting to build my first defensive troops here. You'll see here I'm quite lightly arming them at the early stage. That's quite advantageous. You do get better effectiveness for your money with lightly equipped troops. It's just that the limitation of 24 platoons means you really need them fully equipped to have the full strength that you need available without running out of 24. But at this stage of the game, right, what you saw there, I've put my defenses on planet 2, and what I never did before, I put the aggression level straight up to max. I had seen, I think, another video where someone said that that's a good idea, but examining the combat mechanism and doing some mathematics and some simulations, yes, it's definitely a good idea. And related to what I was just talking about, it's a much more of a good idea when your troops are lightly equipped. This is quite unintuitive. You get a much bigger bonus proportionately for higher aggression with lightly equipped troops than with heavily equipped troops. With the max equipped troops, it's theoretically quite a small difference, although there's some complications. But with lightly equipped troops, you're much, much better off fighting at max aggression. So that's the big advantage I have over the way I played before. It's a jungle planet, so I'm actually going to settle that jungle planet in preference to another of the urban planets I have, because it's just easier and it produces more revenue outside of the hybrid plant period than the urban planets. So I am going with the one of each strategy, one urban planet, one jungle planet. I haven't found a volcanic planet and I'm getting a bit desperate. So just in the short term, to maximize the rate at which I can build new farming stations, I've added a mining station which I'm putting on my nearby food planet. By the time I fill that planet up with farming stations, I won't need the mining station anymore. That mining station's there basically to produce minerals in order to be able to build enough mining stations. That is the critical thing, speed-wise. It's how fast can you get the farming stations out? How fast can you get the population up? Again, I've got cash coming in now to commission more troops for defences. So I was talking about the enemy attack strategy, the Rorn attack strategy specifically, because this is different on the easier levels. So, like I say, he will only attack once he has sufficient strength on enemy base. He will then do one of 4 different things. And these actually depend on the day, the day of the date. If you think of this 31/2013, if you think of these as a year as being 8 8-day weeks. On day 1 of the week, or actually on day 8 of the week, because it's all sort of it's all binary. There's a zero-based logic. On one day of the week, his strategy is he will look for your first ship in your ship list that is a farming station. If that farming station is active on the surface of a planet other than Starbase, this other than Starbase is important. I've skipped a bit. So once he's determined that he has enough attack strength to attack, the first check is, do you have any planets other than Starbase? If you only have Starbase, he attacks Starbase. Simple. If you have any other planets, he will never, ever attack Starbase. Now, I knew that from playing the game, but I can, confirm it from the code. He will never, ever attack Starbase if you own any other planets. So, skipping over that, if you're first in the order in the ship list, farming station is active on the surface of any planet other than Starbase, he will attack that. That's kind of funny because that's never the case, right? You build your first farming station, you put it on Starbase, you're never going to move it. I never moved my first farming station off of Starbase. So if that doesn't work, if your first farming station is not active on the surface of a planet other than Starbase, he doesn't attack that day. He still has his attack strength. It will wait till the next day. The next day, day 1 of the week, if you think of it as 1 to 8, exactly the same with your first mining station. If your first mining station is active on the surface of a planet other than Starbase, he will attack it. That is also unlikely to be the case, and now I know about it, it will never ever be the case. My first mining station will always be on Starbase. Actually, in the past, I think there have been occasions where I've moved mining 1 from Starbase to a volcanic planet, when one becomes available, and then been caught out because that immediately gets attacked. So now I know that was an aha moment. So the next day of the week, if he runs the check on that day, note, of course, that if he does attack on one day of the week, the attack strength that hits the planet comes from enemy base, so he won't attack for a few days. He gains 50 a turn. If he's thrown 1,000 at you, it will be 20 turns 20 days before there's another attack. I should also add, these attacks will only happen if the planet selected does not already have his troops on it. He doesn't reinforce a battle in progress like this, ever. That's important. So, farming station 1, if it's active not on Starbase and there's not already a battle going on that planet, he'll attack it. Mining station 1, same. The third one, on day 2 of the week, very interesting. So here it was while I'm explaining this. So I've finally got myself a volcanic planet. So I'm moving a couple of my mining stations onto the volcanic planet. Like I say, there actually is no alternative if you want to be attacking enemy base in reasonable time. You have to have mining stations on a volcanic planet producing fuels to do it. And also, I'm still trying to grow out my population. So getting these mining stations onto a volcanic planet means I can produce the minerals that I need to build the farming stations. So, so the next one, this is the critical part of his attack strategy. If he will look through every planet, starting with the closest to enemy base, the first one that's owned by you that has a population of 5,000 or more, if there's not already a battle going on it, he will attack. So that is really predictable. That is his normal strategy in practice, that he will attack the nearest planet to him that you have 5,000 population or more on. And that, just knowing that, makes the game so much easier, because you just defend that planet, defend the hell out of it, slaughter all his troops as they come in. And it's a lot easier than having to spread garrisons around multiple planets, which is how I used to play the game. I accidentally renamed Starbase to blank. I pressed the wrong button, so renamed it back to Starbase. I've taken the Corsair of naming a couple of my planets because I've make sure I don't get confused as to where I'm sending stuff. Since I've built a mining, since that volcanic planet is quite a long way from Starbase, I need a cargo ship to be pulling stuff in from it to Starbase. Yeah, so you can see the battle there on that planet is quite easy. So that was on planet 2, because Garden, this planet, is not yet at 5,000 population. So that's a thing I have to manage here. I have my urban planet settled. I'm wanting to settle this jungle planet. As soon as its population crosses 5,000, it becomes the preferred target. But not the only possible target, because the next day, day 3 of the week, if he has troops available to attack, the mechanism he will use is he will pick a random planet. If you own the planet and it is not Starbase and there is not already a battle going on it, he will attack it. And that's obviously unpredictable, so you don't want this to happen. But yeah, if it is very unlikely on a given moment that will result him in attacking a planet that's important to you, because there are only 3 or 4 and he's literally picking one of 32. If that's his planet, nothing happens. If it's Starbase, nothing happens. If there's already a battle going on there, nothing happens. And this happens the day after the check to attack your nearest planet with 5,000 nearest to him. So the only way that this will ever happen is, firstly, well, is in either of 2 things. It's if he just crossed the 32,000 limit on that specific day after, between day 2 and day 3 of the week. Or if on day 2 of the week, he was looking to attack and he already had troops on your populated planet, the real target planet that you want him to attack. So what that means is you want to finish the battles quick. Now, as long as you're weakening him by 50 points a day, or a bit more than 50 points a day, you're basically good. Because he's used he's used that much strength. When he attacks planet, the strength comes from enemy base. So if he puts 1,300 onto your food planet, that's 1,300 down on enemy base. So it's going to be something like 26 days before he's regained that 1,300 and is ready to attack again. It could be off by a few days, because he could have been waiting 6 or 7 days before he attacked, so he could have an extra couple of hundred above the limit. But if you're knocking 60 or 70 strength a day off him, then you're going to wipe out his troops before it comes around to attacking again. Which means that when it does come around to attack again, he'll attack the same planet again, where your troops are already there waiting for him to, kind of rumble into the killing zone. So that's a really critical bit of strategy. Use the 100% aggression and put a good amount of strength on your the populated planet. So I did have to manage, if you watch carefully what has been going on a few minutes ago, I did have to manage the changeover. When my jungle planet hit 5,000 population, it became the target instead of planet 2. And I moved troops from planet 2 to the jungle. Obviously, there was a slight, at the changeover point, I actually had troops on both. But once I'd reached 5,000 and planet 2 wasn't under attack, I was able to move troops off planet 2. So the management I'm using here, basically, with only having to defend one planet, basically, I've said platoons 1 to 8 are for defense and platoons 9 to 24 are for attack. And I'm still really focused here. You see, good strength there, but I need to take, because I just want to use, so this is actually still moving troops. These are so I put 2 new troops on the jungle planet. Now I'm moving some of my troops from planet 2 to the jungle planet, because planet 2 is not going to get attacked now, except in the freak. For planet 2 to get attacked, he has to not have the strength enough to attack Garden. Then the next day he has to have the strength to attack Garden. So he has to have just crossed that level with that day's 50 points. And then at a 1 in 32 random chance, he has to hit planet 2. And then he'll attack it. So it's a risk, but it's like every 8 days is like a 1 in 8 chance of him just having that pattern. So he has hit another planet there. I'll talk about that in a sec. 1 in 8 chance of the bad thing happening, and then a 1 in 32 chance of it hitting planet 2. So that's like 1 in 256 chance every week, of which there are 8 every year. So it's vanishingly small. Now, he has hit one of my other planets there, possibly if I didn't pay attention. I terraformed that. There was a fair bit of food on it, a fair bit of population. The tax rate was 25% and I didn't change it. The population may have reached 5,000, which would explain why I attacked it. But I don't care. It wasn't a planet I cared about. Again, what I'm looking for in that part of the system is my first refueling stop for attacking. Now, it's really cool if I can get a volcanic planet there, because I could just drop a couple of mining stations on it and I don't have to be moving fuel around so much with cargo ships to run my attack. But I've terraformed 2 planets in the area so far and not had a volcanic planet, so I'm still looking. So that's a 4th farming station gone down on Starbase. So I moved the 2nd mining station off Starbase to my volcanic planet early, because I just wanted to get minerals there early. That leaves me a bit short of fuel on Starbase. There's an argument for having 2 mining stations on Starbase, but I haven't done it. If you're paying attention, we're in the hybrid plant period now, so I've got high populations now on all my planets. I should have max population, I think, by this point on... No, it won't be quite max yet, but I'm heading towards max population on Starbase and Planet 2 and Jungle. Yeah, so it's... Yeah, there goes the 3rd one. Now, during the hybrid period, you can actually max the population on a jungle planet with 2 farming stations. But I want 3 because I want to build up a surplus for afterwards. And the same on the urban planets. That's why I just put the 4th farming station on Starbase. You can get away, I think, with 3, but by having more, it means I'm building up a food surplus for after the hybrid plants go away. Cargo ship running backwards forwards. So I'm getting the minerals in from my volcanic planet and using that. This was the big tactical shift from actually doing kind of the economics numbers recently, I found I was being a bit sloppy about getting enough farming stations down on my urban planets. You really need that population. Having 3 farming stations and 9,000 population on an urban planet isn't enough. That's not going to give you enough credits to equip your troops to win the game in a short time. So I'm working this volcanic planet, pulling all these minerals in, building out. So there goes the 4th farming station on planet 2. And I really want another one. That 4 obviously is enough to max the population during hybrid, but I want that surplus, and I want enough to be able to keep a high population afterwards. So Starbase at max population, 4 farming stations, that's nice. Planet 2 is approaching max population. It's at 24,000 out of 30. I can start to increase the tax rate because it's going to make it to 30. And Garden is just hitting max population with 2. Again, I do want a 3rd on there. Again, I'm using platoons 1 to 8 and rotating them back into training with the idea that 9 to 24 are reserved for attacking. So put in another load of minerals. That's the critical thing. I'll grab some fuel and energy at the same time. Just make sure I don't run out of energy on Starbase from importing a lot of minerals. I do want 1 more mining station. I've got enough mining stations for my... So here I'm a bit of a mess here with the rotation of troops. I still had some troops left on planet 2. So some of them I moved to Garden, which is the new target. And then some I left. I'm now taking them back to Starbase to put them back into training. So we're in 2017. Yeah, another load of minerals come in. So with this, I'm planning to build 1 more mining station because I'm going to need that mostly for producing the fuels. I've got to, in order to get my attack going, I've got to have a lot of fuel. So like I say, you need, even with volcanic planets, you need like 4 or 5, which is why it's an impossibility without. So again, these are my weakened units that need to go back in training. So the tax rates are going back up as my populations on the 3 populated planets are hitting 30,000. So the revenue is coming in really fast now. It's not going to get faster than this. And there's enough for nearly for 5 more units. So I'm rotating 1 to 8, and 9 to 24 will be able to join the attack. So 9 and 10 I'm actually going to use to seize my 2nd refueling base. That's the slight. There goes the 4th mining station on my volcanic planet. So that's really going to be producing. Here come the aliens. I'm checking here the number of games I've had where I've flown a farming station to a planet and never got round to landing it until suddenly I run out of food and everyone starts dying. I was being just a bit cautious there. Did I actually land all my planets? So now 800 more minerals. I'm really I'm pretty much there now with minerals. I'm going to collect a few more to Starbase just in case the acid rain event hits one of my important planets and wipes out all my farming stations, because that's really annoying when that happens, particularly if you don't have minerals and energy ready to replace them. But with that last cargo load, I think I have enough minerals to build all the ships I need. Here it comes. I only need a, well, maybe not quite. There's enough there for 2 more farming stations. Here goes 1. Farming 11. So I calculated with 1 jungle planet and 1 urban planet, you need a minimum of 12 farming stations total to be raising the money you need. So this is my 11th. And this is my 12th. 12th I'm just putting on Starbase. Believe? No, 12th is moving. Did 11th go on Starbase? No, I went to the garden. So that 3 is all I need now on the jungle planet. And that gets me up to 5 on planet 2. And Starbase just has 4. So I'm now at 12. So that's producing about the right amount of money so that when it's time to attack the enemy, I can equip all my troops with the equipment I need. I'm still just looking, another volcanic planet around there might be useful. Although where my current one is located, it's kind of almost midway between Starbase and my first refueling point, which isn't bad. It'd be nicer to have one close to each, or rather than 1 in the middle. But 1 in the middle with 4 mining stations on is kind of doable. It's better than not having 1 that close to Starbase, right? Because I'm having to ship all these minerals back to Starbase for building. So here, I'm now working on the attack of my second refueling stop. So I've got battleship there. I've got enough fuel on the planet now, and Begley is my target there. Garden is still under attack again, but again, if we look at the battle, 7,400 to 900. Again, I'm keeping a big ratio there. Aggression 100%. The faster you kill him, the less damage you take. And again, the faster you kill him, the less danger there is that he'll be ready to mount another attack and will attack a different planet because the one you're defending already has men on. So keeping the formatter going, it's not terribly important. Keeping that cargo ship moving, that hardly stayed in one place for 5 days in the whole game from when I bought it. That was just shipping all sorts of stuff around. So I'm still 1 more load of minerals coming back to Starbase, plus a bit of fuel, because Starbase needs fuel. Remember, I only have 1 mining station on Starbase. Obviously, the mining station that's on the volcanic planet, there's my attack. The mining station's on the volcanic planet, produces 3.5 times as much minerals, but having the fuel and minerals on Starbase without having to move them is very useful. So I'm still not certain it's a bad idea to have had 2 mining stations left on Starbase. I just ended up with 1 here, but that means I'm having to ship fuel back to Starbase so that I can launch attacks from there. So Battle 1 is fighting for my second refueling base. Battle 2 now is ready to do reinforcements on my garden planet. Cargo ship is doing a constant shuttle. And now my defensive units here, 1, 2, and 3, are retrained and able to go out to defend garden. Plenty of cash coming in. I had another of the planets I wasn't using attacked here, which is a bit surprising, but it doesn't matter. So again, it's 3 fresh units. By the time I got there, they'd won the battle, but 3 fresh units are there. Grab some energy while I'm on a planet that has spare energy, because I don't want to run out on Starbase. It's just useful to bring it. And I think this is my one very last farming station, which is just going on to Starbase. That's the 5th on Starbase. So now I'm producing a big food surplus during hybrid on both Planet 2 and on Starbase. Which means when hybrid ends, I'm not going to be in a state where I have to rapidly crash the population to avoid running out of fuel. So this was the big win. So my second refueling planet turns out to be a volcanic planet, and I get 3 mining stations on it. That means I don't need to be putting enough fuel on my first refueling planet that every ship can fill up its hold as well. It means I don't have to be shipping fuel out to the second refueling planet. So that's really, really nice that I got a volcanic planet there. I'm actually bringing fuel back from it, because Planet 8, which I'm using as a stop, Planet 9 I don't care about, Planet 8 doesn't have anything on it. It doesn't have a big store of fuel on it. I've shipped a few cargo loads of fuel to it. So the fact that I'm not having to ship fuel through it out to Begley makes this all very, very much easier. Note the other interesting change here, because I don't have to defend these refueling planets. As long as I make sure that their population is below 5,000, as long as I keep my garden planet clean, kill the enemy as soon as he arrives, I can be really, not perfectly, but very confident that my refueling planets won't get hit. Now, if we saw, I don't know if we've seen it yet. It was passed. There was actually a population very, very close to 5,000 on Begley. Yeah, at the point when I got it, tax rate was 25, there was food, and the population hit like 49, 30 or something. So I rammed the tax rate up, and I didn't take my attack force off Begley until the population was dropping, and I could see it hadn't hit 5,000. Because otherwise, it would definitely have got attacked. Again, the flip side, it's not a danger. It would absolutely have got attacked if its population had stayed above 5,000 for a few days. But it didn't. So I'm bringing it. Now, I screwed up here. This is really annoying. I've run out of ship slots, and I actually deleted one of the 3 mining stations on Begley, and I later wished I'd kept it and I'd dropped something else, because having 3 there, I ended up cutting it a bit fine with 2. But I need to build the battleships. I still need my high population and all my farming stations, and I was a bit concerned about energy at this point of dropping any of my solar satellites just yet. Later in the game, fine, but at this point I might still need to build a bunch more ships. If I don't have the energy, I can't. So now it's the preparation for the big attack. So everything from 9 to 24, 16 platoons I'm just going to commission in one go. They're all fully trained, they're all fully equipped. So that is costing me more than 1.7 million credits, but I have it with these 3, with all the farming stations I've bought, the 13 farming stations and the high population, and the fact that we're still in the hybrid farm period. I have enough cash on hand to just commission all 14, because 2 of them are coming back from Begley, and that's where I screwed up. My plan is that the 2 units that conquer the second refueling base go to the front line. So they would land on Garden and not be brought back to Starbase. But I keep forgetting, and I brought them back to Starbase and then didn't know what to do with them, because they're at like 170. I don't want to use them in the big attack. So now I can scrap the atmosphere processor, which gives me another ship slot for a battleship. So my battleships are now heading out on the major attack. Okay, Battle 1 is going to Garden. Battle 2, yeah, this is another mess. Battle 2 still has troops on it, I believe, that I brought back from Garden. So those should be back in training, and I'll get to that in a sec. So Battle 3 is on the way to enemy base, stopping at Planet 8. Battle 2 is on the way to enemy base, stopping at Planet 8. I still need another 2. So and I'm in a muddle. This is the one part I screwed up, just handling these weakened units. So those 2 units were the ones that came back from Begley. I took them to Starbase, realised that wasn't the plan, took them back to Garden, found they weren't really needed on Garden, brought them back to Starbase again. Actually, I should have left them on Garden. That was where I made a mess. And now the other troops that I brought back from Planet 2 going back into training, which really should have happened ages ago. And now we're at the end of hybrid, so I have to drop some populations. But look at that, I've got 11,000 food here, so I don't have to fast crash the population. I can just increase the tax rate moderately and let the population decline and try and level it out at the amount that can be sustained. So now, Battle 1, so that is the 3rd shipload of my major attack. That has not changed. I still following the pattern. I need 16 units on the first attack, and I need 20 units on the second attack. And if anything has gone wrong, you need a bit more than 20 on the second attack. If you've been badly delayed or you've got weakened units or anything, then your second attack is going to fail. I've had that happen a couple of times recently. So you actually need to gather up your remaining troops and send a 6th battleship on your second attack just to tip it over. So Battle 2 is on its way out to it. I still do need to I need to provide enough fuel on Planet 8 for the refueling of the ships going out. So, like I say, Cargo 1 has barely stopped running since I built it. It's been running fuel, it's running minerals around and now running fuel around. And this should be Battle 4. And now Garden is being attacked again, which is why I should have left those 2 units 9 and 10 and didn't. They're back on Starbase doing no good. And now I find I've actually run out of units. I've got a handful that I brought back and didn't train in time. So I am actually going to take that number 10. So my first attack of 16 units is actually 46 men short. But I'm hoping that is not going to be a critical shortcoming. So Battle 3 is coming off the second refueling station. There is more fuel for the first refueling station, so that Battle 2 has made it. Battle 1 is at the first refueling station, so it can take some of the fuel that's there. And then I can drop some fuel that I brought from further back, because I don't need... Normally I would be carrying extra fuel to Begley, but Begley has 2 mining stations on it, so it has its own fuel supply, which is the only thing that's actually making this possible at this point without better fuel facilities on Planet 8. So Battle 1's on its way to Begley. Battle 4 is the last of the 4 attacking here. And it was able to use the fuel I just dropped. And I'm going to go and get some more, because these guys are going to have to come back. The first attack, they have to come back. Or I guess, again, I could scrap them and build new ones in Starbase, provided I have the minerals and the energy and blah, blah, blah. I tend to bring them back. So, trying to measure out the even out the tax rate in the population. Again, having that big surplus of fuel that I built up by getting my farming stations built early means I'm not under pressure there. So battle 1 is at Begley. There's 6,000 fuel at Begley. So there's, again, that's where I wish I'd had the third mining station still there, because that's not a huge surplus of fuel for the ships that have to come home again, but it's certainly enough for the outgoing part of the attack, and it's certainly making it much easier to get them home. And here I find, again, I miscalculated really. That's quite a strong attack on Garden, but it's not strong enough, and I'm just about to hit enemy base. So I got scared here and felt I had to reinforce Garden, which I just didn't. You know, it would have held with the troops I had there, and there weren't going to be any more attacks because I'm about to hit enemy base. I'm delaying hitting enemy base in order to do this. I did have the sense to use one of the weakened units here, but instead of the 2 fresh units there. And now I'm hitting enemy base. So battle 4 is there. Battle 5's not part of this attack. That's my defense. And I'm ready to go. Battle 1, boom. So I'm landing the troops here with aggression of 25. I've got 1 more shipload to land, because it does make a difference when you're massively outnumbered. And then, yeah, the aggression goes up to max. I can show simulations that is better even with the fully equipped troops. And now, yeah, by the time I got those troops to Garden, they weren't needed. So I bring the weakened troops home, but that was all a muddle. I should have not bothered. But again, I've had games recently where I've just run out of money at the critical moment of trying to equip the second attack, so I was scared of losing Garden and losing that money. You know, it's going to be 120 days before I want to launch the attack on the second attack. So I need much more like 160, 170 days. So I need that money coming in for that 160, 170 days. So I'm starting the process of bringing the battleships back from enemy base. As you see, I'm bringing some extra fuel back from Begley, but there's not a huge surplus there. So I think the first couple of ships I've brought extra fuel back, and the rest I'm not risking it. I'm just hoping I've got enough fuel ready and waiting at Planet 8 to get them home. But you know, most often on the second refueling base, I'm carefully, you know, aiming to just give them, not even fill the fuel tanks, but just make sure they have enough to get it back to the second refueling base. So nearly finished the battle there, but it is successful. You know, it goes quicker, but I'm destroying enough of the enemy. This is Battle 1 still coming home from Planet 8 to Starbase. This time it's correct that they're all going straight back to Starbase. They're not carrying any guys except this. So now all the troops are dead. So I've got the 16 units that are just fought on enemy base to restock with people. I've got 3 units, I think, that I just brought back from Garden to disband and replenish. And I think there's 1 unit that even got wiped out on Garden. And you know, cash on Starbase right now is enough for 12 new units. And you know, I've got cash sitting on the other planets, and I've got a good 110 days left still of cash coming in before I need to buy the equipment for these units. So that's cash now for 13 on this planet. I need 20. I've got 1 or 2 at this point already equipped. But the cash situation is really good. Again, that's the critical thing. I have 13 farms, and those are providing me the population I need to keep the tax revenues high enough. If I had just 3 or 4 food stations on Starbase, 3 or 4 food stations on Planet 2, I would not have the cash. Yeah, so these are the units that have come back that are being disbanded and retrained. So that's 12 plus these 2 is 14, plus this one is 15. Sorry, 16 plus 2 is 18, plus 1 is 19. This one I'm not sure about, but whatever it is, that makes 20. 20 is what I need. There's actually 21 and 22 with those 2, so I've got plenty. And that's the situation on Garden. It has a couple of units on it, but it's not going to get attacked again. You remember the mechanism is it depends on the strength of enemy base. Until enemy base reaches 32,000 strength, he's not attacking anyone. And the whole point of this is I'm going to attack him before he gets anywhere near 32,000, because otherwise I won't win. So cargo 1, I'm still flying fuel around. I still need fuel supply on Planet 8. I also will need more fuel on Starbase. Starbase has 3,000 fuel, but I want to launch 5 ships from there with 850 fuel each. So that's 4,300 fuel, and that's without even giving them extra fuel. And I may want to give them extra fuel because I'm not sure how much I'm going to have on Planet 8. So I'm going to run shuttles full of fuel with the cargo. So first I've got to get some more onto, because again, it's got to do the same. It's got to fuel 5 ships as they come through in order to get them. And I think some of them may still be coming home and have to refuel on the way back there. So I've got to get a load of fuel on Planet 8. I've got to get a load of fuel on Starbase. But I don't have to worry about Begley because it's got its own mining. Battle 5 is landed. So, yeah, the goal here is to be ready to commission troops as soon as they're fully trained. Again, that 4th mining station on the volcanic planet is absolutely essential. I would be running out of fuel here if I only had 3 with the amount every time the cargo ship leaves, it doesn't just carry the 2,250 fuel that it's carrying, it also has the 1,250 in its own fuel tank. So 3,500 gone in a day, and then it comes back and grabs another 3,500. So Battle 1 is at Starbase. No, that's the cargo ship still. Yes, I'm keeping the battleships in the air just to make room for that cargo drop. Battle 2 is above Starbase, Battle 3 is above Starbase, Battle 4 is above Starbase, Battle 5 is on Starbase. So all my ships are back. Again, if anything goes a bit wrong, I would need a 6th ship. And I think I will build a 6th ship, but this is actually going smoothly enough. I won't need it. See, this is that hit Planet 12. That's a killer if that hits one of your important planets. Just at this point when you're trying to prepare for the last attack and you lose basically a planet because all the farming stations on it are killed, and then it's like, do I have energy and resources on Starbase to rebuild them? It takes like 10 for 20 days to build new farming stations and ship them out. Or do you just try and do without and hope you have enough cash with your other planets? Which in this case I possibly just about would, but luckily that hit Planet 12. So that's fine. So I've landed another load of fuel on Starbase, so now I have enough I can land planets on Starbase and get them ready to taking the second wave attack out. I've got more than 6,000 fuel. Like I said, I'd need a bit over 4,000 fuel to get 5 ships fully fueled and leaving. However, Cargo 1 is not finished yet because I still need more fuel on Planet 8 just to make sure I've got enough fuel to get everyone out. So again, those same 5 ships are going to need 800 fuel each or 750 fuel each at Planet 8 to make it out there. So that is another 3,500-4,000 fuel. But right, my troops are just starting to hit fully trained. So that's the first one, but I had 3 ready. So again, let's get the first ship on the way and get that last load of fuel there. 6,800 is enough on Planet 8. So there's nothing. Yeah, we're basically at there. Nothing can stop me now here. Again, you can see I've got. This is my 8th unit just being commissioned. I've got enough cash for another 13, so that's enough. I have all the credits I need at this point to win. At this point, I'm still just hesitating to get the 100% because obviously it's not just one unit that's getting an extra % by waiting these 2 days. It's that unit and all the ones behind it. I haven't done the numbers to compute exactly like how many units getting an extra 1% training is it worth to allow enemy base to be 50 points stronger. That's a really interesting question. I have a suspicion I'd be better off attacking slightly faster with slightly less than 100% training, but I haven't done the numbers yet. I think you can assume I will. So the second half of the wave fueling up at Starbase, and I need another 8 units. 5, 6, 7. The numbering, and that's the 8th, so that's the whole lot. Again, there are more. If it were close, I might need them, but everything has gone smoothly enough at this point that I can be confident 20 units are going to do the job at enemy base. And yeah, bringing a 6th ship along and having to refuel at every stop probably won't pay for itself in terms of the delay, the extra delay it will cause to be moving 6 ships rather than 5. I'm better off not. So battle 3. Yeah, 3 and 4 are still on the way to. This is not needed, but I'm waiting for 3 and 4 to make it to Planet 8. And having an extra couple of thousand fuel just in case. Battle 3's at Planet 8. Drop that 600 there. So I started with Battle 5. So my kind of table of, what's the military term? I forgot TOE. I've forgotten what it stands for. Is 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, which is a little confusing, but not too much. And there's Battle 5 on its last leg. I've got 8,000 fuel on Begley, which is plenty for getting out there. It might be cutting it a bit fine if they had to come back, but they don't have to come back. There's no rush, because once I've conquered enemy base, that's the end of the game. Don't need to be dragging the ships back to start landing them just over there. So battle 3's on Begley. And battle 4 is the last one. Refuel that. Something that would be worth working on, apart from using the mouse properly, is the exact timing of, you want to be landing the troops right after that day's combat happens, so you can get as many down as possible for the next day. But there's my 20, 37 to 44,000 to 20,000. So 2 to 1 is good enough. It's funny, like 1.85 to 1 or so looks good enough, but the way the combat is calculated, the rounding is always against you, and there's a lot of rounding specifically. And this I was kind of aware of because you could see it just on this screen. The amount of damage each platoon takes is rounded up to a number of people every turn. So I had a game recently where I started at about 1.8 to 1 ratio of my strength to enemy strength. I was winning and it went up to 2. And then I gradually started losing because as the number of men in each platoon got smaller, the rounding effects just got proportionately bigger and bigger. But here you can see it's all going in my direction. When it started out at about 2.1, 2.2 to 1, it's just reaching 3 to 1. That's just on 3 to 1 there. That's more than 3 to 1. So clearly winning here. Again, I would win quicker if I had a 4th ship full of troops, but it would have taken me longer to get here with a 6th ship full of troops. It would have taken me longer to get here with 6 ships, so I think it wouldn't have helped. So now we're at getting on for 4 to 1. That's 4.5 to 1, 5 to 1. So when I drop back to the main screen, we'll see it's still 2024. 47 of 2024. So my goal was to win the game in 2024, which I've never done before. The critical new tactics. Always fight at max aggression. Early in the game, fight with less equipment, because the aggression, at low aggression, the weakly equipped troops are very weak. At higher aggression, 100% aggression, the weakly equipped troops make a much, much better show for themselves. And that's the victory. So that was 1 hour and 10 minutes exactly. And it was, 57 of 2024, I think. Always fight with max aggression, weakly equipped troops early on. Another funny point, armor and weapons, it's all the same. If you have like the 3rd set of armor and the most basic set of weapons, that's exactly the same in effect as the 3rd set of weapons and the most basic set of armor. So you just want, if you're getting like 2 above the lowest, it's cheapest to get 1 armor and 1 weapon, which is actually what I used to do in the past. But that's the strategy there. Then focus early on getting your farming stations out. You need to have at least 5 farming stations on an urban planet. You need to have 3 farming stations on a jungle planet as soon as possible. And you need to have your mining stations on a volcanic planet. There's no point trying to put tons of mining stations on non-volcanic planets to make up for it. And yeah, the biggest, most useful thing, the planet he will attack is the closest planet to enemy base that has 5,000 population on it. Make sure you control what that is. Make sure you defend it, and make sure you defend it well enough. Basically, you don't want to dip below 3,000 military strength on it. That 3,000 military strength will take out 60 military strength of his per day. That's literally just how the combat is calculated. It's 2% of your strength is taken off his strength. So do it that way. And don't make any mistakes. It's the number of games where I've just made one silly mistake or another. I haven't defended a planet well enough and I've lost it, or I've tried to push the population a bit too high and I've run out of food, or I've sent a battleship into attack and forgotten to load the units on it. The skill issue. It is just having the strategy is one thing, but actually executing it correctly is the other thing that makes this difficult. So can I get faster than this? I did get in a muddle with those troops on the way back from the defensive troops that came back. But again, my primary strategy is not to use those for attack. I've got 8 platoons for defense and 16 for attack. And the fact that I made a mess of handling my defensive troops, in the end, I don't think it mattered. The only real impact it had, maybe a day or two wasted of just sending ships around, and that 40 men short that my first attack was. Instead of 1,600 men, it was 1,554 or something. So I may do another video on more explanation of what I found in the code and my simulations and my spreadsheets and my calculations. But in terms of a playthrough, the other way that would make it quicker would be if I got a volcanic planet sooner and closer to Starbase. I'm quite pleased that I did so well with that only volcanic planet being, planet 6 or planet 7, and having to do it that way. Again, that was a matter of making the best use of what I had in order to win the game. So, thank you and keep watching.